I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
And this is Fish Jelly.
Mm.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
Mm.
It's officially summer.
Yeah, it is. The longest day of the year was yesterday.
Yeah. What did we do today? We went to the John Waters exhibit at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
The exhibit's called The Pope of Trash.
Mm-hmm.
It was really nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think both of us are big John Waters fans.
Thank you to the friend who got us the tickets. I don't know how much they are, but I would say it's worth. I would say it was worth going.
I think it's ending soon.
And it may be ending soon.
Mm-hmm. It's been there a couple months.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Yeah. A lot of really cool artifacts.
Yes, factoids.
Factoids.
Oh God, the French poster art of Female Trouble. I want that with Divine looking like Leatherface.
Well, there were a lot of really cool things because when you first walk in, there's like a church, like it looks like a chapel, and there's a video playing of like highlights from all of John Waters' films,
mm-hmm.
and then
and stained glass windows.
Yep. And then we were sitting in pews.
Mm-hmm.
And the pews had like like what's that one movie, that William Castle movie, like Trigger or
The Tingler?
The Tingler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the pews vibrated at certain random points. But I thought that was a really strong start to the exhibit. But yeah, then we get a lot of really cool movie posters, lots of video clips, costumes. There were a few things in the gift shop I need to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend going. What's your favorite John Waters film?
Serial Mom.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I don't know. Pink Flamingos is pretty fucking good.
I think I've seen all of them except Cecil B. Demented.
That is the soul. Somebody actually just bought us that movie, a fan, and sent it to us. That is the one. Well, and Mondo Trasho, his debut.
Yeah, we did receive. We also received a book, like the book.
A book he wrote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if anyone wants to send us stuff, the P.O. box listed in the description of this episode. But
you haven't. I know
we do appreciate it.
You haven't seen Multiple Maniacs.
Oh, so I am not fully caught up on John Waters.
Oh, and where Divine is raped by the lobster.
There's another video in the exhibit that shows a lot of his appearances on other people's like TV shows, movies, mm-hmm. that I thought was really cute, including the time he was on The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. I think the episode's called Homophobia.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was cute. But
you know, like somebody out there needs to give him money so he can make his first film in 20 years based on his book Liar Mouth.
Yeah, we were talking about it. I'm so confused how like a Netflix or an Amazon hasn't,
especially Amazon, because Netflix,
or even like a Shudder.
Netflix clearly has taken a left turn into bullshit. Like you'll finance this fucking Jessica Alba movie, but you can't give John Waters or David Lynch money to make an animated film. Like, come on.
Yeah, that seems odd to me. But anyway, moving on. I received so many people message me with all these memes and stories about Justin Timberlake's DUI.
Uh-huh.
Of course, I don't want to I don't want bad things to happen to people.
Schadenfreude. But he deserves some problems, I feel.
Well, mm-hmm. I don't.
It's going to ruin the tour.
I don't really. Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing for him, and I'm. Luckily, no one was hurt.
Well, especially because these officers have been pulling Britney Spears over without a driver's license and keep letting her ass go. Or
Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe he's a little too close to blackness, and that's why they arrested his ass. I don't know.
It finally caught up with him.
It finally caught up to him, exploiting black artistry. But anyway, that happened. I thought of this. And it relates to our secret film. I was with my mom last week, mm-hmm. and we were just hanging out, having lunch. And she was asking me about aliens. Like, do I believe in aliens? Mm-hmm. And she likes to ask me random things. And it's like, oh, Lord, where are we going with this? But I was laughing so hard as she was talking because I realized that my mom's justification for why she thinks there are aliens is really she's just describing ugly people. So that really is like, everything she was saying was like, I think you're just describing ugly people. Because she would tell these stories, and it's like, no. Again, I just think you saw some ugly man at Target, and you're convinced he was an alien.
But if you really unpack that, I think wouldn't the aliens be like my stepmother's an alien? They'd be emulating pretty people to make us all worship them.
I don't know. Well, in Men in Black, we had some ugly ones, but
if anything, they'd probably be more intelligent, so realize that they have to have they'd have to have
well, maybe they would want to go fly under the radar, so they would not want to be desirable. I don't know.
It looked like plain.
I didn't think about it enough, except that I was laughing so hard as she was talking, and she's like, "What?" It's like all of your stories are just. You saw a lady and her two ugly ass kids, and you think that aliens exist. I was listening to moving on. I was listening to Ricky Smiley on Club Shay Shay. This is an old interview, like from a year ago, but Shannon Sharp, the host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, he said, he asked Ricky Smiley, "Do you know Tyler Perry? And what do you think about his Medea character?" Because of course, Ricky Smiley is known for playing that church lady. I think her name is Bernice. So Shannon's saying, like, did you feel like he kind of stole your shine because he's, now a billionaire? And Ricky Smiley said no, that he actually likes Tyler Perry. And he told a story that I thought was kind of cool. He said that he met him, I think at like LaGuardia or Atlanta, some airport baggage claim. Tyler Perry walked up to him and said, "Hey, I'm a playwright." And he had already done a couple of the Medea plays. So he was already, like a millionaire, but hadn't done any movies. So he introduced himself to Ricky Smiley, and Ricky was like, yeah. And Ricky was waiting for a taxi, and Tyler's like, "Well, you can ride with me in my limo, and I'll take you where you need to go." So he pitched him some stuff, and Ricky Smiley was saying that he knew from meeting Tyler Perry that he was going to be something big because he had big ideas. But the story he told that was interesting is he said that he shot a pilot with Tyler Perry.
Oh.
And he named some other people who I can't recall right now, but the most interesting part of it is the pilot was like a variety show. So there were other comedians on it. There was a woman who I recognize, I just can't recall her name. But he said that one of the sketches they shot was something called The Pews, like church pew, and that it was going to be his character Bernice, that church lady, and Medea.
God.
So not unlike how people wanted that Big Mama's House Martin with Jamie Foxx's, or no, it was going to be Jamie Foxx's Wanda with Martin's Shanae. Was that supposed to be a thing?
I feel like I remember hearing about that, but was it just a pipe dream? Like, were there actual plans? I don't know.
Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. The story was that Ricky Smiley said he shot a pilot with Tyler Perry where they were both doing their lady characters. So that was kind of fun. Sony bought Alamo Drafthouse.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I guess that's good. It means they're going to stick around because I do like the Alamo Drafthouses.
I do too. I mean, Sony's doing pretty good.
We watched the Celine Dion interview with Hoda Kotb.
Okay, before we talk about Celine, whoever's styling Hoda needs to be fired.
Well, I've known about Hoda. I mean, Hoda's been a part of my life forever.
Who dat?
So I don't mind her. I hate that her hair color is the same color as her skin. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, that's unfortunate too. But
and her wardrobe, these ugly ass pantsuits with the flared bottoms and then these odd colors. Yeah, I don't understand.
Whatever that striped thing she's wearing is the interview.
She looked like the pattern that someone would cut out to make a nicer suit. But
yeah, very distracting.
But anyway, the interview was with Celine Dion talking about her stiff person syndrome and how she can't sing and all she wants to do is sing. And I've always liked Celine Dion, and she is a kooky bird.
Yeah.
And we know someone who's worked with her, who's told us stories, and she does seem like a really odd bird, but a sweet person.
Yeah.
And watching the interview, I did tear up several times, mainly because it's hard to watch someone who really does love what they do and not be able to do it.
And she's very earnest.
So I mean, but man, that interview, we watched it without commercials, and had there been commercials, that thing would have been twice as long. There's so many commercials, and then every time they go to commercial, they come back and recap the previous segment.
Yes.
So really, this like hour interview really was probably only about 20 minutes of Celine talking.
Mhm.
The rest is just like recapping and commercials. But she seems to be doing better. By the end, she says that she has something, like she can't announce it yet, but it seems like she's going to start doing shows again. She does sing a little bit at the end or during the interview. And it
Mhm.
sounds like her voice is like 80, I think she says like 80-90% back.
Mhm.
But she has a documentary coming out on Amazon Prime.
Mhm.
And so they gave clips of it, and one of them is her crying about how her voice has changed. Now it sounds better, but the clip they show, her voice breaks as she's trying to sing, and she gets really emotional.
Mhm.
So that was hard to watch.
She's very much so for the fans. It's very Joan Crawford, although I don't believe she's like Ms. Crawford, but very invested in what her fans think and what her fans deserve.
Which I don't know how healthy that is, but
if you think about her upbringing and how early she became notable, like and how much in a bubble she is, like that probably does mean a lot.
I'm sure it does. And I think as a fan, it certainly means a lot to know that she does care about what her fans think and doesn't want to disappoint them.
Unlike Rihanna.
Well, I think Rihanna's just smart. She's like, I can make billions over here or struggle with these records over here.
Or struggle, yeah.
Well, not struggle. She obviously is a very successful recording artist, but financially, she can drop a new set of eyeshadow and make 100 times more than she'd make off of a number one record. But.
Yeah, and we wish Jennifer Lopez would figure out what her fans want.
Or what she's good at.
Or what she's good at.
Yeah. My last thing in this section is for Juneteenth. Daily Burn is an online
I saw you post
fitness
about that.
platform that I've been using. I have to say that an old supervisor who we have stories about her, but she introduced me to Daily Burn.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to Daily Burn, I think that's when I started to get my fitness, like, not that I've ever been in shape, but like I think that I've like Daily Burn helped me become more efficient and focused with working out.
Sure.
But on Juneteenth, they had a Juneteenth workout. And so basically it was the host, JD Roberto, who's my least favorite part of Daily Burn. He talks too damn much. But he's the host of Daily Burn. Every day there's a new workout.
Mm-hmm. With a new instructor.
And they're supposed to be live. Of course, there are times when there are reruns, but majority of the time it's live, new stuff daily. He's the host for Juneteenth. It was a rerun from like 2 years ago, but it was all of the black trainers.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't have enough black trainers. So one of the people was just like a person working out, but they were all black.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was supposed to be like a Juneteenth celebration.
Uh-huh.
That shit was so uncomfortable. First of all, like JD Roberto introducing the workout was like, not this. And then I felt bad for the trainers because they had to kind of try to, do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all really weird. Like, let's do these burpees for the culture. And like, what are we talking about?
I know. Well, so Juneteenth, since its inception, I think both of us have commented on this in the past. It's like when people ask what you're doing to celebrate Juneteenth, and it's like, I think celebrate is the wrong word. I think that is a time to reflect on the past and the present.
Right. I mean, I think it's kind of odd that everyone's like, let's go get soul food on Juneteenth. Like,
let's get pre-diabetic on Juneteenth. Although I did make some food, but
you did make catfish nuggets
per your request,
macaroni and cheese and greens.
Although you didn't
collard greens.
You didn't want the greens, but I still made them.
You still made those damn greens.
They were I made them too.
They weren't bad, but
tailored to the recipe. They were spicy.
No, they were. I've never really been a fan of greens, but
see, I think collard greens are perfect for soup. I do.
Yeah, greens and soup. But yeah, cooked in like bacon fat.
Cooked in bacon fat.
Super spicy and salty.
Bacon fat. It was good.
Anyway, my thought about it was, I don't need it's pure marketing.
It is.
And it feels pandering, just like Pride Month. Like, not everybody needs to have a rainbow flag flying. Not everybody needs to have like a black fist in the air for Juneteenth. Like, if it doesn't mean anything to you or it's not relevant, Juneteenth is not relevant to my fitness platform. Like it just doesn't even it doesn't make sense because they're not using it as an opportunity to reflect and educate.
Right.
It was literally like, today's Juneteenth. Let's have a Juneteenth celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a bunch of black people
A bunch of
working
black
out.
shit.
And then and it wasn't even black shit. It was just black people doing burpees and squats. Like that feels ridiculous.
It's lip service.
And I would feel the same if they had like, you know, a Pride Month celebration where they had all the gay trainers and they're all saying, yes, work queen. I mean, it just isn't, to me, it diminishes what it represents. And unless you're going to take the time to actually like reflect and educate, then to me, it just feels like,
well, it's like
bad marketing, bad PR.
If we're going to get into it, let's dig into this discomfort and sit in that for a while, because that's what, to me, that's what the shit's supposed to be about. Come on.
It's like, yeah, just so many businesses have a, you know, it's more insidious with Pride Month because it, you know, for Juneteenth,
it's a whole month, yeah,
because the entire month, and it's easy to put up rainbows and like, oh, the bagel shop has a rainbow bagel, and like, okay, I mean,
Juneteenth, like during the middle of the week, you can't push this shit till Friday.
Wow.
Give us the weekend. The federal holiday should be a 5-day weekend.
Although it is nice to have a Wednesday off, but I mean,
it's
I'll
nice
take
to have
it.
any day off, but you know.
I forget what comedian. It's not Dave Chappelle. Some comedian says I would take off KKK Day if they gave it to me. So,
oh my God.
But anyway, moving on to the restaurant section.
Oh yes.
The Arby's on Sunset closed.
I'm not mad at that.
After 55 years. Mm-hmm. I'd be lying if I said I ate there regularly. I did when we lived in West Hollywood. We're equal distance to it now, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's ironic that I haven't been since we moved to where we live now. But when we first moved to LA, I would go because I liked their, they had a cranberry chicken salad sandwich I liked. Mm-hmm. But I always thought Arby's was so gross because someone years ago told me that roast beef basically comes like this gelatin. I could totally be wrong and I didn't research it, but because someone told me this, I never ate Arby's, which mm-hmm. was that they take this like gelatinous, almost like liquidy Spam type thing mm-hmm. and use that to form the roast beef.
Yum.
The food, I mean, even the and I like Ving Rhames a lot.
I do too, yeah.
But those commercials where we've got the meats, and then it's like, that just sounds gross.
Yeah, you got the meats and the meat sweats.
Yeah, and the meat doesn't look that appetizing. And then that cheese, that's like that cheap melted cheese.
I'd be more bummed if that Chinese place in the corner that has the scallion pancakes I like closed.
Oh, we should shout that place out. And maybe they'll...
I doubt it.
Give me food.
But we do like to go there, and it's very easy. And also, there used to be this Mexican it was some kind of cantina. It was called, that we used to go to before seeing screening, is the ArcLight, that's been closed for quite some time. But they had a pretty good burrito.
Yeah, and it was a cute place.
And
they
had a nice happy hour. Yeah.
Anyway, the place we like is on Sunset. It's right across from the Netflix headquarters.
Yeah.
It's called IXLB Dim Sum Eats.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So if you're out there, I don't mind if you want to give me like a lifetime supply of.
Ooh, those scallions with that.
And they have these pineapple like dessert, like they're almost like the conchitas you get in a panaderia, but they're filled with like this pineapple custard.
Yes.
That shit is so good.
Those are pretty good. But there's stuff that seems reasonably healthy there too.
And also the prices are very reasonable.
Right.
Like if we buy $50 worth of stuff, we can feed like 5 adults.
And we've ordered out, we've eaten in. I think that everyone's very nice. I've always liked the service.
Is nice. Yeah. You can sit. I wouldn't recommend going thinking that you're going to sit comfortably because it's like countertops.
It's not fancy. No.
Well, I mean, it's not even like a place to sit. It's almost like you can sit there to wait while we get your food ready. Mm-hmm. So it's ideal to take to go, but highly recommend that place. Anyway, I wanted to talk about, there's this coffee shop you really like in Silver Lake.
I like that it's more of a bookshop, but yeah.
It's called Stories Coffee Shop. And they have in the front a bookstore and then the back a coffee shop and then a really big patio area. But I have to say, I went for the first time with you on Sunday while we were waiting for a seat at our favorite pizza place. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I need a snack while I wait for my pizza. So we go, and you said this person's been working there since you've seen him have a weight loss transformation.
I have, yeah.
But child, they had this like bitchy ass disgruntled person working who didn't greet us, didn't even let me finish my order
Mm-hmm.
before he walked away to start making your coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Or they
Mm-hmm.
started anyway, the part I wanted to bring up is they had 4 tip prompts.
I think one of them had a quote about it's worse to be cheap than be a Republican or something.
Then they had a tip jar. Then they had another thing asking for a tip. And then the 4th prompt was on the screen. And I thought, like, this is outrageous that this person didn't greet me, had a fucking attitude, didn't let me finish my order. Then we got some of those like Brazilian pastries that have the meat in them. I forget what they're called. They're not called pancitos.
Croquettes, but something.
No, like I think they're called pancitos. But anyway,
yeah,
they're supposed to be heated up. And this fool just dropped them cold ass crusty things in a bag and handed it to me. And it's just like, and then you tipped him $6. It's just like, I can't.
Well, I go there often enough, and I mean, I guess I'm used to the treatment, but
I just think it's crazy that
it's a better bookstore than it is a coffee shop. I do really like sitting in there, and I love the books. But
then this person was, I mean, I'm assuming queer. They looked non-binary, queer, was dressed like, you said they lost a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So their chesticle area was a little, interesting. And they were wearing overalls with their chest hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, I don't know if that attitude and aesthetic would make it easy for you to get a job anywhere else. So you might want to chip her up. I don't know.
Yeah, I will still go there. I still like going there, but again, it's about on par with most of the service that
I just think it's hard enough for some of us to be taken seriously and to be given opportunities. So I think sometimes I get more frustrated when it's like another brown person who's just acting like,
sure,
like we need to do better than this. Like, we
but
need to do better than this. It just bothered me. Like, not another Black queer person looking me in my face and not even saying hi. Not like, just totally like, what? What's happening right now?
Yeah. I can understand that that's disconcerting, but also who knows what kind of day they had. I don't know. Again, I'm not saying that I condone that or think that's a good idea for anyone working in that capacity, but it's like, it is what it is. I don't know.
Moving on, I think Canter's Deli is having a resurgence in our lives because for a long time we didn't go because they were grade
C for a minute.
They were grade C.
This was years ago.
So then, of course, we were like, well, never again, patooey. And then we noticed that they were grade A again. So we went. And you liked your food. I didn't like mine. But then the person who took us to see the John Waters exhibit recommended Canter's for brunch. So we went. I will say that I ordered breakfast food and I did enjoy it more. And it's a very convenient place. They have a parking lot.
Yeah.
So I did like my food. And of course, I like their bakery a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that we gave them another shot. There was a question that I thought we should answer because someone asked us what's up with the film we said we were working on.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Well, I'm not the writer.
And
my writer has a lot of caveats and excuses and conditions under which they have to work. So my
condition is alone time in a space. That's my condition.
You need to make time in the space.
Yes,
you keep our schedule full, not me. So I could watch 0 movies. So that's on you. But yeah, it's just,
it doesn't matter about movie watching. It's about it or time, because I've already written several scripts.
I would say that we are over, we do too much. And everything, like, it's just, yeah, we need to find time because we do a lot of things. So we need to find time. That's the answer to it, is that we have an idea and I think we could easily get it started, but we have, or once we got started, I think it would proliferate very easily, but it's just finding the time. And I guess it's not a bad problem to have, that there are a lot of things happening. And
true, but
if I want to be positive, I would say, like, we're thriving, but
thriving, not surviving.
So everything's great in that regard, but then it's like there's just no time to like sit back, and it just feels daunting to take on another big project. But
without a script.
Well, and then yeah, like the main thing I need is the thing I can't get,
Well,
but here we are.
here we are.
There's something in the sorry to this man section.
Oh yeah, so Bill Antonio, our friend from
Bad gay
Bad Gay
movies, bitchy
Movies,
gay men.
often and again, I told him that I appreciate being told when I'm mispronouncing someone's name, because I would rather know, because I live in my own little bubble, and I like these people's I'm familiar with for years. Maybe I've never said their names out loud or to somebody that knows how to really say it, but I was mispronouncing Ugo Tognazzi's name.
How are you saying it?
I was with a hard G, girl.
Oh.
um, who you should know who this is, because he's in the original La Cage aux Folles film.
So what's the correct way to say
the
it?
way I just said it, Tognazzi.
You said with a hard G.
Yeah, because
So how were you saying it?
I think it was saying Tognazzi.
But there is no G in this word.
I spelled that out phonetically in the notes. That's why.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Films released we didn't cover. Fancy Dance.
Lily Gladstone has another movie, apparently, that she filmed while taking breaks from Killers of the Flower Moon, directed by Erica Tremblay, and it sounds like an interesting little dramatic thriller. But I believe it's an Apple TV Plus title.
Firebrand.
I saw this at Cannes 2023. It's I like the Brazilian queer filmmaker Karim Enyus. He just had a new film I liked a little bit better that was basically Postman Always Rings Twice redone at this year's festival. But this period piece, I read the book it's based on, which is, what's the name for it? Royal porn.
Oh.
It's romantic fan fiction. It's about Henry VIII's last wife, Catherine Parr, played by Alicia Vikander, who is, I guess, technically the first woman was a published author in the UK, with her book of religious whatever bullshit, and of course, again, last wife that survived Henry VIII, and Jude Law seems to be having fun in his performance, but I thought this was a very boring romantic period drama.
Green Border.
This film I didn't love either, but I think it's a grueling piece of miserablism that has a lot to say about the state of the world today, Poland specifically. It's directed by Agnieszka Holland, perhaps the greatest living Polish director. And this film was, there's all kinds of interesting stories about how this film and its release was treated and what Poland picked for the international film submission this year, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, I saw this out of Venice, and it's about a group of Syrian and or other refugees who are promised safe, inexpensive passage through Belarus, only to get caught up in this horrid, vicious cycle where they're getting kicked across the border, tortured, murdered. I mean, it's an incredibly grueling film to watch, and I think might overplay its hand a little bit, but I would, and this sounds weird to say this, but it actually is a very good looking, interesting looking, well shot film. But yeah, I didn't love it. You got to see her at the LAFCA Film Awards. We awarded her with the Lifetime Achievement, and she showed up.
Okay. We have like 60 seconds. Humanist vampire seeking consenting suicidal person.
This was also a Venice Film Festival movie from last year that I reviewed in the Horizon sidebar, and it was actually, I thought, quite entertaining and worth a watch. It's directed by Ariane Louis Seize, and it's about a young woman from a family of vampires who likes to choose who she eats, and has found a small niche community of people who are suicidal, but then she falls in love with this young man.
Janet Planet.
We'll talk more on that later, because I'm seeing a screening with the director giving a Q&A on Tuesday evening.
Okay, let's take a break. Projects of interest. Merciless.
Jonathan Majors is getting let out of his. He's getting let off the bench with his first film project since his conviction. which is going to be directed by the brother of Denis Villeneuve. So I guess we're starting out a little smaller and from scratch, but good for him.
And there might be a Practical Magic sequel.
Yeah, I almost put this on the other day because I think I rented this and my dad hated it. Go figure. But Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman are, I guess, producing a sequel to this 1998 film that was directed by Griffin Dunn.
Unfortunately, there are entries in the obituary section. Willie Mays died, and I don't know anything about baseball, and I was embarrassed because if you would have asked me about Willie Mays, I would have thought that he was around the time of Babe Ruth, but he was born like 3 decades after Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
But I do recognize him as being like sort of an icon in Black culture, and obviously a famous baseball player. But he died at the age of 93. And Anouk Aimee, died.
She was 92. Very famous French actress. I believe she was French. That's how I know her, mostly through French film. But although she was in 2 of Fellini's most notable movies, 8.5 and La Dolce Vita, Oscar nominee for A Man and a Woman, the 1966 title from Claude Lelouch, which won the Palme d'Or and I think Best Foreign Language Film. They made 2 sequels, each spread about 20 years apart. Jacques Demy's Lola is also one of a big one in her filmography, but she was 92.
And of course, Donald Sutherland died,
mm-hmm.
which is why, well, coincidentally, we on Patreon, a request was for Ordinary People, and that request was made shortly before he died.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that review out the day of his passing. So that was interesting.
Fortuitous, I might say.
Yeah. But he's a very talented actor.
Mm-hmm.
Was. Do you have some favorite Donald Sutherland films?
He was in so many movies, but off the top of my head, my favorite is probably Don't Look Now, which I know I made you watch back when we lived in Minnesota, and I don't think you loved it, but I fucking love that movie. You've also seen Clute, which I'm a big fan of, which Jane Fonda won her first Oscar for. I think, oh God, Fellini's Casanova, where he's playing him, is a really interesting movie. God, I'm trying to think of what else I love him in. I mean, he's in so many. JFK. Yeah, I don't know. I think the 70. Because he's technically Canadian, so his death. Oh, Day of the Locust. Oh, MASH. How can you forget MASH? Johnny Got His Gun. I don't know. It's sad because I've known who he was and has such a recognizable face since I was this kid, and then he's gone.
Well, the secret film this week was my choice, and it was inspired by Donald Sutherland. I chose the 1978 American science fiction horror film Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This film's directed by Philip Kaufman, and it is the second out of 4 versions of this film.
Yes, that are, I think, can be technical adaptations of Jack Finney's novel.
I saw the first one. I recall watching that. Didn't remember anything about it.
Don Siegel's 1956 version.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was a first time viewing. What is this film about? When strange seeds drift to Earth from space, mysterious pods begin to grow and invade San Francisco, replicating the city's residents one body at a time. That's the full movie.
Yeah.
There is no cure. The film ends with these aliens targeting San Francisco, but we see that they're like traveling to others. Like we see them getting on buses and planes to go to other cities to do this. And at the end, we see a ship filled with pods, obviously going across the ocean. But the film focuses on Donald Sutherland and his co-worker / love interest, Brooke Adams. So yeah, the story is very basic.
Yes. And about just a handful of people, acquaintances that get hip to the game and are trying to survive.
What did I think about this movie? I think Donald Sutherland and Brooke Adams give really good performances. I think this film does a good job of doing a lot with a very, I think, thin story.
Mm-hmm.
um, I probably, I would say my favorite thing about the film is the cinematography.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
Uh,
This is a perfect fit for that theme they have at the American Cinematheque every year now, a bleak week, because this shit is it, it's depressing.
well, my biggest complaint would be that very early on, it's clear like there's no hope. So I almost feel like versus the 2007 version,
Which I had you watch.
The Invasion, starring Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, oh, they find a cure, which we're going to talk about on our Patreon. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, so, but,
But
overwhelmingly, I think this is an excellent, well, a very good sci-fi film.
it was shot by Matthew Chapman, who had worked with Kaufman before on The White Dawn and would work with him again. But notably shot two of Scorsese's best films, Taxi Driver and Raging Bull.
I'm just going to go through my notes. I really like the opening credits with those like seeds coming to Earth, and we see these like gelatinous blobs on a lot of different types of vegetation. I thought it looked really good. And then once the opening credits end, we see some people in a park. And my first note is we see a priest on a swing set.
Yes.
And I'm like, why is a priest on a swing so creepy?
And it's Robert Duvall.
That's right. That's right. Oh gosh. So Donald Sutherland plays a food or he works for public health, and he's a restaurant inspector or food health inspector. So we see him going to this fancy, maybe like French restaurant. And a really cute scene is he's like digging in some like sauce pot, and he pulls something out with his tweezers, and he asks like the general manager, "What is this?" "It's a caper." "Are you sure?" "Of course I'm sure it's a caper." And Donald Sutherland's like, it's a rat turd." "No, it's not. That's impossible." And they go back and forth, and Donald Sutherland says, "Well, if it's a caper, then I want you to eat it." And then he won't eat it. But then we see Donald Sutherland go back to the public health office, and he is very serious about his job.
Oh yes. Well, they also break the windshield of his car.
That's right. The restaurant staff, when Donald leaves the restaurant, he sees that they've thrown like a wine bottle at his windshield. Brooke Adams, I don't know what I know her from.
Oh God, yes. We watched some movie about these Nazis waking up recently from the same period.
I thought she was very cute.
You have seen her, because we did a podcast on the Dead Zone.
Oh, that's her in the Dead Zone with Christopher Walken?
Yes. And I also made you watch that terrible movie, The Unborn, where Kathy Griffin is that lesbian who gets beat to death with a hammer. The Stuff. She was in a lot of really great genre stuff, but actually the same year she's in another Donald Sutherland picture, The Great Train Robbery.
Oh, well, I thought the scariest thing about this movie was that thing Brooke Adams does with her eyes, where she can make them like vibrate or something. Okay, so the aliens, it would appear, so in the 78 film, they keep the mechanism of how they're infecting people a little more vague compared to the 2007 version I watched. But essentially, like, it seems like when people go to sleep, they're susceptible to being replicated. And so what it looks like is these like pods will spit out like a generic version of like the human form. And then while the human is sleeping, it sort of fabricates like a doppelganger. So once the process is complete, we're left with a husk of the human body. So we see a lot of these like aliens who are now human looking, carrying around these husks that they put into trash trucks. And I thought that was very effective.
Well, it's because you see that early on.
Yeah.
By the time that these characters were introduced to are kind of knowing it's everything's already lost.
One part of the story that confused me is Brooke Adams. She has a boyfriend, and she's
by Art Hindle,
and she notices he's acting weird, and then she sees people walking around, and she's like, everyone's acting so weird. I thought it was strange that Donald Sutherland didn't notice anything, because I wrote down, like, does he not have any friends or know anyone that he can't tell? Like, it seems like everyone is acting weird, and everyone can tell. Like, people are saying, like, because we see people running around going, something's not right. But Donald, it's not until he actually sees one of those like carcasses that he realizes something's not right.
But I think
Did that not seem weird to you?
no, because okay, so the '50s version is really a metaphor about McCarthyism, and we're at the end of the '70s, a cycle of paranoid political thrillers. The Watergate scandal has defined the decade. Vietnam, like paranoia was a thing, but also I think this is making commentary on how living in a major city, an urban center, and how there's already automatically a conditioned lack of humanity, and that we're all just walking around not uh, kind of paying attention to who's in front of us as another human.
Sure, that makes sense. Okay, I really like Jeff Goldblum,
I do too.
but I think I like him like later in life because I've seen a few movies with him when he was younger, and I find him so grating. And and in this movie, I think his character is really annoying.
He's very handsome though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree, he's very handsome, but I just think because we watched another movie where he's like dating some lady. It's from the 80s. Do you
Not,
know what I'm talking
not
about?
Vibes with Cyndi Lauper.
No. And they go to a restaurant and I'll have to think about it.
Well, not The Fly.
No, not The Fly, but
Not Earth Girls Are Easy.
no.
I'm trying to think of what else I know from.
I'm not going to be able to conjure it at the moment, but
because he was in early Altman stuff too, like at Nashville. I know you're not talking about Nashville.
no, it's a movie where I think he's maybe like a kept man, and he's in this fancy loft, and there's like a rich woman. Anyway, I found him kind of annoying, and then Leonard Nimoy, his character. I mean, it makes sense once we realize that he's an alien, but prior to that, I just thought he was like the worst psychiatrist. Because Donald Sutherland is trying to take Brooke Adams to him, saying, like, I know a psychiatrist, he's really smart, he'll help you understand why your boyfriend's acting weird. And then we meet Leonard Nimoy, he just seems so off the mark. Like,
but come to find, the twist is he's already an alien.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it makes sense, but initially I'm like, God, he's a quack.
He is. I like his screen presence a lot, though.
I don't know. I can't help but think of Spock.
Well,
and I didn't even watch Star Trek, and that's all I can think about when I see him.
He directed stuff too. He did a movie with Diane Keaton. Is the Goldblum film you're trying to think of the Altman production of Beyond Therapy with Linda Jackson?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not very good, but
yeah.
Based on the late great Christopher Durang's play. Yeah.
Oh, that's why I watched it, because of Christopher Durang. I thought one of the better moments is the bathhouse.
Oh yeah, so that's owned by Jeff Goldblum and his wife, played by I think she looks so lovely then, Veronica Cartwright, the Belichick,
who's in the 2007 version, and her wig in the 2007 version is so ugly.
Yes, but I think she's really young and sweet in this, and this is right before Alien. She was a child star, but this is right before Alien.
Before we realized that the transition occurs while they're asleep, we were like, because then the first couple times we see people get saved from it, it's like someone grabs them and like moves them away. So you were like, does this work via Bluetooth?
Yeah, like it's too out of range.
Yeah, but then we realized, oh, it's not that. It's that they have to be asleep for it to work. I think one of the probably the creepiest scene is when Donald Sutherland finally falls asleep, and then we see he's fallen asleep like in the garden, and these pods are pumping out all these bodies. That it looked really good.
It looks excellent. Yes.
But yeah, the cinematography in general, there are some really, really like haunting shots.
I love the scene where Brooke Adams is Art Hindle has already changed overnight. And you know him from Porky's and The Brood, my favorite Cronenberg film, The Brood. And she tries to hug him, and she can already tell something's wrong. And she recoils in a way that I remember seeing as a kid, thinking was so frightening, like that she can tell.
She can tell. So now that shit is going down and they all know that something's wrong, they're trying to get away, and Donald and Brooke get in a taxi to go to the airport. And we know they're immediately in trouble because the taxi cab driver gets on with like the what do you call it? Not the call center, but
Like the CB radio. Oh, that's Don.
dispatch. He gets on the CB with dispatch, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'm taking 2 people to the airport. They're type H,
I'm like human
for human." And then there is one moment that I do recognize from like pop culture, which is the dog with the human head.
Yes.
And then that damn lady couldn't keep quiet because they're told if you don't show any emotion, you can blend. Because what I didn't explain is the aliens, it's not explained why they're on Earth, or is it? Do they explain that they're
No, they just explain that.
It's a 2007 version where
Yes.
they explain.
But Nimoy does have that moment where he gives them a sedative and is explaining that it's much better this way. You're going to be part of the collective unconscious, but there's the eradication of emotion, et cetera, et cetera. But that taxi driver in that scene, that is Don Siegel, who directed the first film.
But what I was going to explain is that the aliens sort of MO is, or their main characteristic, I should say, is that they don't have any emotion, which leads to a more peaceful existence. So then if people can stay calm, they can blend in with the aliens and not get found out. There's a moment where Donald gets caught up because he's trying to pretend like he's an alien, but then someone starts shrieking. And so he ends up like uppercutting this old lady. I was not expecting that. But Brooke Adams, she's a liability because all she does is scream. She's emotional. Like at one point towards the end, she like can't walk, like she sprains her ankle. And
but it's because she's so emotional that out of that friend group, she notices first.
That's true. Yeah. I think you're right on the commentary on society and people being less aware and
people being disconnected.
Yeah, so it does make sense.
But the ending, the final shot of this film haunted me as a kid, and I think it's still so effective, and in a way that nothing is like that anymore.
So the ending is that Brooke Adams and Donald Sutherland make their way to like where they're farming these pods, and they're trying to get away. And he thinks they can get on a ship. But when he goes to the ship, he sees that they're putting pods on the ship. So it's too late. And Brooke's not with him because she hurt her ankle. And when he gets back to her, she has changed. So then he's holding her human body and it disintegrates in his arms. And then we see her alien form naked. And she runs into the warehouse. And then the part that I thought was a little crunchy is there are a bunch of like lights hanging, like the kind of lights you see like downtown or any like trendy restaurant in their patio section. And he chops the lights down and they cause the entire place to burn down.
Well, it's not as simple.
I thought that was a stretch.
But he chops them all down and it causes some fires.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of the end of Parallax View a bit.
But light bulbs, I don't know. But anyway, the end of the film is we wake up the next morning and Donald Sutherland goes to work. And at first you think, oh, he's fine. He's just pretending to be like emotionless. And then what supports that is that when he sees Brooke Adams' alien, he follows her. So then you really think, oh, he's fine. He's trying to blend in. But then he's out in the streets and Vanessa Cartwright sees him and she has
Veronica.
Oh, is Vanessa Cartwright a person? Who's the person who does Bart Simpson's voice?
That's Nancy Cartwright.
Oh, what's this lady's name?
Veronica Cartwright.
Veronica Cartwright hasn't been changed yet, and she's out in the streets and she sees Donald Sutherland and she screams his name. And the final shot you're talking about is that Donald Sutherland looks at her and starts pointing and doing that weird alien howl. It is creepy.
It's creepy, and then also her reaction is so good because she's like
damn,
fucking distressed because she probably hasn't slept.
She thought she was safe, and it caught me off guard because I really thought that he was, that he hadn't turned yet. So it's very effective.
Well, but because when they first reconvene with Veronica Cartwright, Jeff Goldblum has already turned, and they're in the health department building, and she's the one that tells them you can fake it, but you are initially like, oh, she's an alien.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say about this movie. What would you give Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
I think this is again, there's an argument that it does kind of play a little long, especially in the second half. I think it's by far the best version. I do like Abel Ferrara's 1993 version, Body Snatchers with Meg Tilly, fine enough. But this is to me, I think it comes out during the New American Cinema of the 70s. I think it's just super dark and depressing and bleak, just the way I like shit. And I think that the principals are all really good, as you said, especially Sutherland and Adams. But I think Veronica Cartwright is really good in it.
Yeah.
I love how it looked. I love the score. So to me, this is a 4 out of 5 film.
I think it's very good. I would give it 3.5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Are you reading anything?
I hope to finish Carell this week for reasons we'll speak of later.
Oh boy. Anything else?
No.
Ta-ta.